Welcome, friends and family, to the Maybe Pile podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Mummified Tony. This week joined by my good partner, Kiryoku. Kay, what are you up to?
Everything and nothing all at once.
Well, it's better than nothing none of the times at all, ever.
You only got that right. And wrong, maybe.
Who's to say? Who's to say?
No, it's actually doing pretty well, and I hope you are the same.
Well, you know, I am pushing forward, trying my best to make proper adjustments in my life, to take the proper steps moving forward. You know, nothing too crazy. I think I'm doing fine. I think.
Well, in order to be doing great, we have to start off by being fine. So
you gotta establish a base level of like yes, and then we'll work your way up.
Yeah. It's all about climbing that ladder. You're going to have good days, bad days, and sometimes you're going to have a lot of meh days. It's just the way it is. It's just overcoming that, you know, bit by bit, step by step, and just kind of climbing that ladder.
Of course. To kind of start off the actual episode on sort of a low point, and we can start talking about more positive stuff and go up from there. A low point for me since last recording is that I am failing tremendously at this year's NaNoWriMo. My writing has not been going too well.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I've been having a difficult time carving out a time of the day to be able to do my writing, though my strategies and practices from previous years have rolled over nicely into the new year, with the main adjustment being that my go-to video game soundtrack playlist that I used to listen to in previous years has suddenly disappeared off of YouTube. I have had to replace that with I've had to replace it with Game Chops' video game study room, where they play nothing but lo-fi hip-hop versions of video game soundtracks and whatnot. And I'm like, it's good, it's quiet, it's got no vocals to it, and it is more or less upbeat enough that it can keep me going with writing. But it's just finding the time to be able to get that done. It's been the most difficult part.
Do you have a, how do I put it? So, as a writer and an aspiring author, I have kind of almost specific, you know, things that have to be met for me to, like, produce my best work, as any shitty artist would say. Or, not shitty, self-entitled. As any self-entitled artist would say, I have very specific, requirements that must be met if you want me to do my work. Do you have anything like that other than your listening stuff? Like, do you have to have like a cup of coffee, or do you have to have like a dark room with a little bit of subtle lighting? What do you have any requirements like that?
No, not really. It's mostly my normal computer habits that exist. I can't have anybody speaking around me. I can't like listen to people's conversations that are still going on around me. I mostly work best in private. So I don't go out and like type in any places public or anything like that. And if I do, I definitely have earphones or headphones on, right, that will pretty much cut out any outside noise and whatnot. So I can just focus on like the music that's playing and translation of thoughts from my head onto the computer. And then really cool. The other part of that as well is that I need a full keyboard. I can't type very well on laptops, or at least the laptop I have is not good at, isn't the best to type on. So that's why I need my full keyboard as well for that situation. So I can just type out whatever I need and have full functioning switches.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and this is all stuff that I'm not saying that I absolutely cannot work without it. I mean, I can make it happen. It's just one of those things that if I want to be the most optimal of my situation, that's what I need to have happen. I can't be watching a movie in the background. I can't be listening to any of my regular YouTube videos or my subscriptions or anything like that. I've got to have like no vocal music that is a little bit upbeat and jammy, kind of like it's got to be fun sounding.
Oh yeah,
and it can't be like slow and melodic with like smooth jazz, because that'll just put me to sleep. I got to keep it a little bit up tempo, so that way I'm getting a little energized from it and just like type, and I guess a full cup of water, like a big cup.
Yeah, I drink nothing but water, like 99. I drink nothing but water like 90% of the time, so I always have like gallons. So that's what I do. And I don't have food because I feel like food personally. I feel like it kind of distracts me. Like if I'm sitting there munching on peanuts or something, I don't know why. I just can't focus. Maybe it's the crunching.
For me, it's like I can't have food at my desk because either I'm eating and that's the only thing I'm doing, or I'm working on something. I can't be like work, snack, work, snack, work, snack. I can't alternate like that. It's too distracting.
Yeah, no, it's like I was a little afraid to say eating's distracting because I thought I would get like a little bit of kind of weird comments or glances for that, but it is. It's distracting. Because 100%. It's like I need to. It's like not that I have to focus on eating, but it just takes away from the thoughts of what I'm trying to put out onto my screen. If I'm gaming, that's a different story because I can snack and game at the same time. But
even gaming, you have moments where like the round or something has come to an end. You got to go back to your base. You got to do something. There is an ebb and flow with the intensity of most video games. So it's like, okay, round's over, waiting for the next round to start or whatever. Oh, yeah. You have a couple more French fries. You grab a couple of more handfuls of nuts or whatever. That happens. When I'm writing, and not to take away from your point, but like when I'm writing, I am trying to write constantly for 1 hour straight.
Oh, yes.
I probably have had a meal, or after I get done with this, I might have a meal, but it's like, no, writing, next 60 minutes, I have a stopwatch. I am going to run and just out words nonstop for 60 minutes.
Oh, yes. I totally understand. I usually try to eat before I write, if at all possible, because then I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat, and then I'm not thinking about what I'm going to write, so I try to eat beforehand. I try to have, like, no distractions whatsoever, like, no, but the bills are, like, my cell phone bill, the bill is paid, I don't have to worry about that, like, all that's, so I'm always just making sure I have the fewest amount of distractions as possible. That being said, though, I find that I do a lot of decent writing if I'm in like a stressful-ish environment. Like if I'm at work, I will literally sit down on my phone and just start typing away on my screen because I'll get like I'll hear like a conversation or I'll just get like this random idea and it's like, okay, I don't have any work to do at this particular moment, so I'll just whip out my phone and start typing away for like 15 minutes. And that's like in pure contrast to, it's like, okay, you just said you needed to have like a quiet-ish environment and blah, blah, blah. And now you're saying you can type in a noisy work environment with stuff, constantly making noise and people chattering and shouting because they have
that's everybody's different.
Yeah. It's just really weird because it's like I like to be in a comfortable, quiet environment, but I can also do it in a noisy, stressful environment if inspiration strikes. Like, if inspiration strikes, I gotta go for it, regardless of the environment. And, like, if I'm sitting there typing away and a load of work comes back, I get a little flustered because I'm like, that line of dialogue was just about done, and now I gotta deal with this. So it actually kind of motivates me to get my work done really fast. It's like, okay, I'll just pound this out as fast as possible, and then I'm right back on my phone. And I know, like, my boss kind of looks at me kind of strange. He's like, you're on your phone? I'm like, you bet your ass I'm on my phone, old man. But
yeah, and everyone's going to be different. And to your point, like I even find myself at times while I'm at work is there are times where I have done myself a huge disservice, this NaNoWriMo, for I'm actually taking the time to actually structure and sort of plan out my story before I actually sit down and write it.
Oh, yeah.
/ I've also written a little bit of it, but previous years I haven't had any structure to it, and it's been mostly just word vomit for the entirety of the attempt. Only once have I actually gotten to the 50,000 word mark, while other times it was just like word vomit, and I've ran dry. So it's like a lot of times I haven't been able to get over that hurdle, but yet this year I might actually be, this year I was actually trying to like prevent that running dry towards the end of the month by actually doing the brainstorming and doing the structure and working out some history points on it. Like, let me take a look here real quick and bring that outline. Here it is. So it's like, okay, your outline you have to think about themes and a premise sentence, and it's actually funny because like the writer that I'm friends with, she sent me years ago these 3 images of how you should structure a first act, second act, and third act. And it was by some website. I think it was like teaching artists helping writers become authors.com. And I was like, okay, bit of a long one there, but understanding like all these other special steps, like where'd I put my outline? There it is. Outlines. It's like, okay, first 1% of the story needs to be your hook. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Hook, setup, learning about your character's goals and their stakes, inciting event. A turning point occurs halfway through the first act that calls to the adventure. The moment the normal world is first distinctly rocked by the conflict. Build up. The final pieces necessary for the main conflict while ramping up the tension. First plot point, start of Act 2, reaction, first pinch point, realization, midpoint, action, second pinch point, renewed push, Act 3, third plot point, recovery, climax, confrontation, climactic moment, and resolution. It's like, okay, figure out what's going to happen in those points, and then also start asking questions about like what ifs constantly about the characters in your story. And that's what I've been kind of doing. And they say that, I'm kind of rambling at this point, that the best way to sit there and answer what if questions that you think of is to go back to your theme of the story. And after reading a little bit about that and figuring out, okay, what is the theme of my story and what it is and how would that relate? And then I'm like, okay, what is my theme? What am I trying to say here with this story? What is the sort of plot that is following my character, and then also figuring out premise sentence and whatnot. It's like, okay, after something bad happens, protag has to team up with so-and-so to help so-and-so, must do this to gain control, whatever, blah, blah, blah. One of those in a world where kind of situations.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get all of this together. And it's funny because the first thing that happened in this, like, how to start planning for your NaNoWriMo was like, hello, writers. Welcome to October, aka the time where you need to cram as much as possible before November hits. And I'm like, it's November 3rd. I fucked up. I'm just like, I can't plan and write at the same time.
It's kind of funny because whenever I write or whenever I'm planning something like a story, I usually just end up, I guess you would just call it word vomit. Like, I don't really plan much of anything. Like, I'll just get this idea in my head, and it's going to go either one of three ways. One is I'm going to be like, okay, this is stupid. At some point, I'm going to scrap it. Sometimes I've written an entire page of shit, and I'm just like, okay, this isn't going to work out. Scrap it soon. Second way is I'm going to maybe sleep on it and give it a couple days to marinate in my head. Be like, okay, what do I think? Would this work? Would that work? How's this and that and the other thing? Whatever. Make sure it's just not like a fleeting idea that's going to go away in 5 hours. And the third way it could go is I'm going to just straight up get inspired, I guess you would say, and just start writing then and there. Where, if I get this one idea and I'm like, yeah, this will work, this will definitely work, and I'll just start pounding it out on a keyboard right then and there. So, sometimes I'll do that. Usually those ideas don't really go anywhere. Those are the ones that end up getting, like, after a page or so. But, you never know. You never know which one is going to be, like, your breakout novel. You never know.
But then there's also that other thing. It's like, okay, if you had a idea that you thought might go somewhere, but then turns out it doesn't, but then that's, one of the ways not to make a light bulb. They say, like, I think it was Edison or what, the light bulb was like, okay, I didn't fail 50 or 500 times on making the light bulb. I found out 500 ways not to make a light bulb. In your case, it's just like, okay, I've thought of another premise for a story. Well, it's not that I've done a failed premise for a story. It's like, I now know a premise that doesn't work for a story. Or maybe you just put it on the back burner and let it ruminate for a little bit and kind of think about maybe you can change it into something different or whatever.
That, I would say, is probably how, like, 99% of stories work. You have this idea, and you're like, yeah, this could work, and you start writing it, and, like, you're like, okay, no, like, you get, like, maybe halfway through a freaking story, and you're just like, no, this isn't going to happen, this isn't going to work, nah. And you shelve it for a while, and then something else happens, and you're just like, okay, well, how about I try this? And you pull out that old idea, it might be a week, a month, a year old. You pull it out, and you're like, okay, this might actually go somewhere. And, you just start kind of working.
Right.
It's like whenever you start, what I'm trying to say is, like, whenever you start a story, it's like, it's almost guaranteed to never, ever happen the same way you thought. Like from beginning to end, there's no way it's going to turn out the same. It's almost guaranteed to not do that.
Never. Oh, of course. Yeah, definitely.
That's what I was trying to lead at.
So yeah, like even I've had that moment like 3 or 4 times so far in my Nano story this month, and it's the 10th round. It's like, okay, when I first thought of how I wanted my story to go, I wanted it to be like, okay, the main character starts at this one point and is being chased across like the entire across the land, always running away from this one person trying to do whatever. But then I'm like, well, why? Where are they going to? Why are they running that way? Well, maybe they're not running across the land. Maybe they're just running inside the city. And maybe they're just avoiding them, just trying to play cat and mouse in the city, trying to stay away from one another. And I'm like, okay, well, why would someone be running from someone in a city? Well, who are they running from? And it's like this and that and blah, blah, blah. Okay, maybe they're running to someplace. Maybe they're going here. Okay, and then maybe it turns out that this person isn't actually who they thought they were. And then at that point, I'm like, no. That overcomplicates everything. We need to then focus on just that. That's blowing up too much. We need to hone it back in so that way don't overextend our story and keep it simple. You know what I mean?
I completely understand that. I have
like I've gone all over the place with my story.
I totally understand. I have fallen victim to that situation so times where I'm writing this and I'm like, okay, yeah, I have this like this big fantastical idea, and I start writing it down. And the way I do it is I read and I reread and I reread some more. Basically every time I go back and I start writing my story, I always read it from top to bottom. Like if I'm looking at my Celtex document, read it from top to bottom, because I want to go back into my story and I want to know what it is. And I try to read it from I'm the author. I know what's going to happen. I know what these characters are thinking down to the letter. I created these characters, But I try to look at it from a reader's point of view, where it's like you have to tell them what's going on. Not oversimplify it, no, but you have to give them enough detail so they know what's happening, and, just so that way they don't get lost, You don't want to make it too big and grandiose and stuff like that. And I've fallen victim to that so many times where I'll reread it sometimes 4, 5, 6 times, and on my 7th read, I'll be like, wait a minute, the fuck does this say? This doesn't make any sense, That story's not going to go anywhere. And I'm just like, okay, time to scrap like 3 out of the 5 pages I just wrote, and it's kind of heartbreaking whenever you have to do that. But it's for the best, because it's like, okay, it hurts because you're deleting all that work, but it's also kind of nice because you can just kind of read what it is.
Yeah, and it can be frustrating how it's and I ran into that a couple of times where after Nano was over, having to go back and kind of proofread what I wrote, and then having to pretty much like take whole chunks and pages and paragraphs out, and just being like, fuck, all this wasted effort that now that, I completely get where it's like, what does this even mean? It's been a whole month later, and now I don't know what the hell I was trying to say in this one particular moment.
Yeah.
I feel like even though I haven't really gotten that far with after outlining a lot of my story and answering a lot of these questions inside my head, I feel like I've actually given it enough structure and outline that I think I'm going to actually be able to avoid a lot of that, like just ripping out a page or, a whole chunk of section being like, is this pertinent to the story? No, yes, whatever. And then be able to go with it. And hopefully my post writing won't have to be as arduous or challenging, I guess, would be another way. Or
right, to describe it, I suppose.
Like hurtful, like taking away, like leaving a child behind, kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I think what's important to kind of realize though is that even though we both say that it's wasted effort, it's not, because this is how the writing process works, and it's just another way of like Edison's light bulb thing. It's just finding another way that doesn't work.
It's no different than blacksmith having to will lose like 75% of material that he started with and making it through just lost flux and whatnot on slag that'll come off of a piece and hammered away and it'll end up on the floor.
Yeah.
That, it's just, it'll all be better to make a finer knife in the end.
Yeah. So it's like if I find a part of the story that's like, okay, this page doesn't make sense, this arc here doesn't make sense. Like, okay, well, again, you put all this effort into it, but you have to delete it because that arc makes no sense. So now you have to put in effort again, more effort, to make it right. So it's just all part of the process, really. Any process of any craftsman, artist, even if you're just a wordsmith, anything, it's all about, working out the kinks and doing and scrapping. And eventually you'll come out with something that is pretty good, eventually. So that's the way that works.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. I've started.
Tell me about it.
I've started writing a bunch of stuff myself. Not for NaNoWriMo, but just because I felt like it. Weirdly enough, I totally forgot about NaNoWriMo. I was like, oh, it was like I remember you talking about it. I'm like, oh shit.
It's November, K.
Coincidentally enough, I've started writing stuff, and like, oh, okay, fine, this will just count, I guess. Whatever, this will just count for you. Here we
go. Make a profile. Add me on the NaNoWriMo website, and we'll write together.
I can totally do it. Sure.
Do it, and then you can say, "Wow, Anthony, you suck."
Nah, I can't do that. I'm too nice for that. I'm too nice for that.
It's the 10th, and I'm at 2,000 words. Fuck my life.
More than I got. Probably. I don't know what I have. It's there. But it's weird. But I started writing a like a comedy type of book, and it's really weird because I always say I do not do comedy. I can do like a little tiny sliver of comedic relief in my scripts that I show my animator. I can do a tiny bit of that, but other than that, it's just not gonna fucking... But for some reason, I always get inspired, and I'm like, hey, I think this is funny. Let me just throw it out. So I'm currently in the process of writing like this, sort of like this adult humor type of thing. Like, not like sexy adult humor, like not like porn shit. But I mean like just kind of like, kids, put the kids to bed, and then you can tell these jokes, You don't want a child like repeating this stuff because you overheard it, because you know how kids these are just jokes that you tell around the bar to friends. You know how it is. So it's kind of stuff like that. Nothing racy or just funny shit. So I've started writing a book and so far I'm on like the 3rd page, and it's not that bad really. If I do say so myself, I think it's all right. So I'm anxious to see where that goes, and honestly, I wouldn't mind trying to publish this one. It would be kind of strange. Nice. It would be kind of strange having a comedy book. I usually write drama. Strange, considering I kind of hate drama. I hate cliche drama. Good drama, it's okay, but cliche, it'd be kind of weird to have that be my debut work. But hey ho, whatever. May as well see where it takes me, So I'm going to see what happens with that. On page 3, I'm not going to make it a very long book. It's not a novel by any means. It's just like a bunch of short little, just short little jokes in the forms of like, it's not even really forming a story. It's almost just like a categorized book, if you will, type of deal. So I'll just figure out what happens and see where it takes me. I am... However, if you want to get like NaNoWriMo style, I am actually in the process of writing a dark, very dark fiction of like type of a nightclub scene in a corrupted city type of. And I'm kind of at a crossroads because I have 2 stories that I've simultaneously worked on. One I've been working on for a couple years, and I have like a fuck ton of it done, and one I've just started, and I'm kind of like, okay, I could do like several things. I could work on both simultaneously. I could drop the new one, keep working on the old one, because I'm not going to stop the old. I like the old too much to stop it. Or I could combine them into a single story. Or I could keep or a fourth pathway. I could keep going and finish the old story I have and make the other one a spin-off. So I'm at this crossroads where it's like I can keep writing both of them simultaneously, but they're both very, very similar. So it's like, do I want to keep doing this? Do I want to stop the new and keep going with the olds established and actually enjoy this? It's something I'm going to have to figure out.
Right.
The old one is just a little more difficult because it has like a fuck ton of characters. Not like main characters that you have to focus on, but it's focusing on 3 different stories happening at the same time. So I got to focus on that. And there's side characters, things like that. You know, it's a whole universe that you got to try and write out. So it's a little difficult. So I'm gonna have to
see. That's on another level that like I haven't gotten to yet. I'm I'm at this point where I'm just like focusing on the one story I have and just trying to make that one thing happen. I've got no idea how to. I mean, the best thing that I could probably recommend would probably be like, okay, don't worry about like dropping anything or trying to work other things into other stories at all. I think I would just focus on making one story, focusing on that. It could be in a world, like you can craft a world that like other stories can also exist in it. But for now, I think and this is just me like being super amateur at this, I would say just work on like one story and sort of back burner the other ones, let it simmer. Don't like throw them down the drain. Just kind of like wait on it, have a couple of ideas, maybe like sort of percolating and sort of sitting there a little bit, maybe add a couple of words to it or on a side thing, jot down your thoughts or ideas for it or lines that you can think of for it, but focus on the one so far.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that advice. And don't bother saying this is amateur advice because I am by no means a professional at all.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I am just throwing all of this shit onto Celtex and just finding it. That's all. I try to keep it as structured as I can, but I guess my writings are a little on the unique side, which is really, really complimenting when my peers tell me that, because to hear that your creative work is unique is it's the biggest compliment I think an artist of any kind, be it a word artist, a visual artist, any artist, hearing that your work is unique is extremely complicated. At least it is, because there's so much work out there that is just copy paste, not like plagiarize, but copy paste, generic, cliche, and when you are
template cookie cutter.
Yeah, template cookie cutter. Fuck.
I guess if you want me to, I guess I could, but her boyfriend's got to be okay with it.
Template, generic, cliche, cookie cutter. Yes. Into the editing, or that might be too good. That might be too good to cut out. I don't know.
Who knows?
Well, you're the editor, so you'll figure it out.
Angry editing Tony will decide it then.
Fuck you, Kay. This is going in.
Yeah.
We'll figure that. My fate will be decided in a couple of days, I suppose, or like a week, or like 2 weeks from now. My fate will be decided.
Yeah, right.
But I leave that decision to you. So
depends on how angry he's gotten at your background heater and humidifier noise.
Yes, I so wish that I could move into like my own house and where I don't have to have these things running 24/7. But nice. I will say though, being kind of just kind of breaking off here a little bit from writing, I talked about that a lot. But,
oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, but breaking off from that a little bit, I will say, growing up in a house with a loud furnace, loud dehumidifiers, heaters, stuff like that, I have completely grown accustomed to noise, and I cannot stand silence.
Oh yeah,
I cannot stand it.
I know that feeling.
And I also have a condition known as tinnitus, which is where you have a 24/7 ringing, roaring, scratching, buzzing in the ear, and it never goes away. And my case is a very, very high-pitched ringing noise that I am always hearing. So I cannot, it's like, no matter what, I cannot get away from it. I always have a high-pitched ringing ears. There's no way for me to stop it. So, and I've had it for as long as I can remember. So I always have to have something. I always like to have something, running in the background. The heater, the dehumidifier, the furnace, stuff like that. It drowns out the ringing. So it doesn't bother me at all. And when I sleep, I have I have YouTube on in the background whenever I sleep. You know, I got that on. I have my friend that was here a couple months ago, he's here and he's in the next room. He's just sleeping on my couch right now, taking a little nap until we have like an all-night gaming session after I'm done recording. And the only other place for him to sleep in the house is the couch in my bedroom, so he's only like a few feet away. So obviously I don't want to have YouTube blaring, like random videos when he's trying to sleep. So I just have like rain going on my phone that just plays on. Because I asked him, I was like, hey man, I know you put up with a dehumidifier, so this is quieter than that, so would you mind hearing that between the times that the dehumidifier runs? He's like, yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. Because he lives in like Cincinnati in the city, so he's used to constant noise anyway. So yeah, I just have that on whenever I'm trying to sleep. So I have to have some type of noise constantly. So, it's just the way it is. I will never know what true silence sounds like. That doesn't...
Does he listen to WKRQ in Cincinnati?
I don't think he's really I don't think he's a radio person.
Pretty sure that's the name of a TV show.
Oh, I thought... Well, WKR. I mean, for some reason, my mind immediately went to radio. I'm like, you were listening to...
Well, yeah, it was a TV show back in the 70s about... 70s. About a radio station that was like... It's kind of like one of those night court kind of shows where it kind of follows the people that work at the place. And the place that they're working is WKRP in Cincinnati. Radio station there.
I don't know if I've heard of that or not. He might not. I don't know. He's born and raised in Cincinnati, so he probably heard something about it.
Maybe.
I'll ask him when he wakes up, because he asked me to wake him up after recording so we can...
No, you ask him now. I need to know. I need to know,
Ken. Lazy ass up! No. No, he's glad to have him for a few weeks. Great guy. But yeah, I'll have to ask him after hit the stop recording button.
Recording button.
That's what he thinks.
Salud. Hello guys, this is you. This is Alex. Today I'm going to talk about the sauces. Great transition actually on that point. So
the onion.
It's a beautiful. You take the onion and you make sure you smell it. Oh, it's good onion. It's good onion. No, actually there's a adjust my there's actually a YouTuber that I've recently discovered, not necessarily recently, more like I've known about them for like the last month, that I've really been following lately, getting like kind of into their kind of style, their way they sort of present themselves. I'm sure if you just Google Alex the French cooking guy, you should be able to find him. He's kind of this tall, skinny, big curly hair French guy who talks about if only there was a way that I could. And the best thing about puff pastry is is all of the layers, the crisp, that crunch that happens with the puff pastry, and you get that from folding the butter over and over and over again to then get these tiny, tiny layers. And that's when I was thinking, what if we put to be a perfect puff pastry? They say that you have to be at 6 folds, but what if we took it a step further? What if we brought it to 10 folds and had over 1 million layers of butter? And I'm just like, hell yeah, dude, let's do it. Let's fucking figure this out. Let's go. Like, you mad bastard. Let's go. Let's figure this out. And I had a feeling that it's like, okay, this might not be a smart idea. I mean, there's got to be a reason why puff pastry always has to be laminated 5 or 6 times. And it's like, oh yeah, if you bring it up to 1 million layers of puff pastry, I don't want to give away the ending, but it's very interesting how he like gets to where it is. And he's, French native. He lives in France. He's a French cook. He's not like Michelin star level of cook, but he still is like really passionate. And he starts making all these gizmos and gadgets, and he talks about, the best way to cook and clean things and how to sharpen and apply the perfect amount of oil to things. And it's like, no, I'm going to do the test. I'm going to do the science behind it. I'm going to figure out absolutely what is the perfect way that we could do that. And it's like, really okay, cool. Now here's the result. Is it worth it? I guess, sort of. And I'm just like, ooh, I like this guy. Not only is he an amazing like presenter and chef and cook to the thing, but also being able to sit there, and I've actually taken a little time to think about the way that he says the things. He brings a topic to the forefront, and how some of his vows fall away just a little bit, and being able to sort of think about how he presents and does, and I'm like, I'm infatuated with how he talks as well, and I'm very, I've been sort of like going along with his videos, and it's like, oh yes, the butter, and it's like a second later, me going, oh yes, the butter, kind of mirroring the videos as I'm watching it, and it's so much fun, and to try to like emulate this guy's the way he speaks and sort of bring that voice into my own, like as like a tool in my toolbox of like being a presenter and like being out there and whatnot, and being like, yes, salud, yes, hello, this is Alex, my French accent. It's here to present to you the any ways that I can talk about food and how you use the butter or sauces. Oh, okay. If I could talk to you about the sauces, there are 5 different sauces. I just love it. There are certain words that I follow along that he says, and I'm just like, well, rewind it. Yes, the sauces, and I'm like, get it out.
Yeah, I'm looking at his channel right now. He just looks like a pretty awesome.
He's just a normal like French cooking guy, and it's like, oh yeah, hell yeah, dude, let's get it.
French guy cook. Cool.
Yeah. Apparently he's got a bunch of books and whatnot and this and that, and I'm just like, awesome. All right.
Yeah. I noticed you follow a lot of cooking channels. Like, I know me and you are both a fan of Binging with Babish, or now, I guess, the Babish Culinary Universe, I guess.
That threw me one day. I was like, what the fuck is a Babish Culinary Universe? I'm going to subscribe
I thought
to
it
this.
was I thought it was a second channel. I was like, wait, what?
I was like, Babish Culinary Universe? Subscribe? Yes, I want to subscribe. Oh, shit, I just unsubscribed. Resubscribe.
I know, it's really weird. I missed the video where he said he was renaming it. I totally missed it. Of course, because of course I missed that video. He didn't really say it a lot, because I haven't watched it recently, but he didn't really say it. But I watched the video before the change, then I watched the video after the change, and he didn't talk about it in either one of those videos. So I missed the one where he said Binging with Babish is now the Babish Culinary Universe, and I was like, oh,
right,
okay. Then.
Yeah, he says it in the 18th century mac and cheese, the Stumpsola video, the first one. He's like, oh yeah, I present you a special early episode of Stumpsola where she does the 18th century mac and cheese, and that's the one that he says it. And I was super like, what is this? And I'm like, okay, I guess. And I was just following along with my watch later videos.
Yeah.
And just get it going through and through and through. And I'm just like, what is it? I mean, and yeah, I have found a secondary or a second wave of love for culinary or cooking videos on the web. I kind of, it wasn't like right at the beginning when like Tasty got really big and everybody was doing top down cooking videos that like
I got super. Tasty more of a, I'm not trying to sound insulting and I don't mean to interrupt you, but isn't Tasty more of like I always thought it was more like a trendy meme type of channel. Not, and I say meme not in traditional meme, but in like, just kind of a modern day memeing trendy channel where it's just like, like the everything is cake trend that happened for like a day and a half before it died out.
And yeah, you're 100% with that. Tasty is actually a sub channel under the BuzzFeed Media Corporation, which is and as much as there was a good and bad flow with BuzzFeed, it was like, oh yeah, it's nothing but like top 10 articles, and it's like, okay, well, that's not all that great. Tasty actually did Tasty can be a little bit of the same vein of being like a joke or a sort of parody of what actually good food reporting can be. I
guess that's why I got that certain vibe from Tasty's, because of their parent channel, but their parent company. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now.
Sort of the source of the source of the problem can be derived from the fact that yes, Tasty is supposed to be under BuzzFeed ownership. So right away, it already has a sort of
negative
kind
stigma.
of pop culture-y kind of, we're just doing this because it's hip right now veneer. But the practicality of it actually is sort of can still be important, because Tasty does have, like I said, the practicality of it, of being a cooking channel. It is teaching you and showing you how to, maybe not in the most elegant or maybe almost a too elegant, toned down, kind of wiped away the dirty bits side of cooking, where it's like add, cook, add, stir this, do this, voila, it's done, and not really talking about the steps that really go into it. It's like, okay,
I
fold
feel like
in the cheese.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say really quick that I feel like those types of videos were mostly made for like TikTok and, you know, like short Twitter videos, stuff like that. You know, stuff, it's fast. It's fast because it's like, that's why they do the add, stir, add, cook, bake, stir, add, sprinkle, done. I think that's why they kind of do that format, because their videos are designed to be watched quickly, and they're not really designed to be, I don't really think they would be designed to be followed as instruction videos. They're literally just there to show, look what pretty thing we made.
But to the point, though, I mean, yes, that's where how they started, but there was a point where I actually did start using those videos, and they do a great job at presenting the visual appeal of cooking while then warming people up to the physical appeal of cooking. Because I have sort of started to adopt and appreciate the process of cooking, not necessarily just enjoying the thing that you're about to make, but enjoying the step-by-step, enjoying like doing the things that are the act of cooking, not just the act of eating.
That's why I like binging with Babish so much, is because he's there for the entire process, and if he spills something, he shows it on camera. You know, there's no real wiping away the dirty bits, like you say. It's just like, okay, we're gonna just kind of move this dirty bowl to the side or throw it in the sink or something, pull out one that because we need to use it for a different, whatever. Yeah. But I like him because he's more raw and tasty. While they're not, I'm not gonna sit here and say they're a fucking shitty channel, because they're not. At least when I watched them, they weren't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, those videos do have a place, and they do have a place. Like, okay, just stir, add, stir, bake, done. Look at it. Ooh, looks nice. They do actually have their place in the culinary world. They actually do have it. I just prefer the more raw, dirty. Yeah, you're gonna spill shit. This is gonna get all over your apron. This shit's gonna happen. Oh, look, I dropped a glass of wine on the carpet. Shit happens,
Babish having to remake the ube roll. What was it? 6 times? He had to remake the Lars Ube purple roll cake. Do you remember that?
That's one of his videos I have actually not seen for some reason.
Oh my god! If you haven't seen the Ube roll from Steven Universe,
yeah, that's the one video of his I have not seen.
It is so good, because the literal thing that we're talking about, how Babish is like, okay, I'm going to show you why, or what did he say? Oh, it was in that video. He's like, yes, I did this with all the hubris of a Greek king, and I'm like, this is perfect, because he literally remakes it, I think 5 times in the video.
Man.
He's like, this has to work, or else I have to go to the grocery store and get more eggs. And it's like, nope, it didn't work. Okay, well, I guess I'm back now, and let's go a 6th time. And it's so great, because in those times, though, he explains why the thing has to be this way. It's not so much the fact that it's like, so many people out there do, like, yes, this is the way you do it, but they never talk about why you have to do this that way, or why you shouldn't substitute this for this, because that's what's going to badly happen. This way, in the Lars Ube roll episode, he talks about how it's like, okay, I originally started with this pan. Turns out it browns too much on the outside, and I was watching a lot of the Great British Bake Off, and in that I learned that in order to prevent this, you do this. And not to give away too much of the video, but it's like, does these steps in it, and it's like, okay, now I get it. And there's even a subplot that happens within the video that actually has a really great effect as well, and actually actually is pretty damn funny, that I thought was great, even though he plays it off as I guess you just don't care. And I'm like, no, that was actually funny. I really enjoyed that part.
I know.
That was almost my favorite part of it.
I see a lot of YouTubers do that, where they're like, look at this joke never mind, it's not funny. I'm like, no, I actually liked it. It was actually funny.
It was funny.
That happens a lot with like these types of YouTubers I watch, and I'm sure you agree. They make jokes, and they think that nobody actually laughs at them, but they are actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe I just don't. Maybe I have like some type of little disdain for Tasty, not only because of the stigma that comes with BuzzFeed, but also because I feel like it kind of appeals to the people's want for instant gratification. And it's like, okay, this cooking process is enjoyable. It's enjoyable, but it can maybe take 2 hours to get through, but the video is like 2 minutes.
You know who does a great video who actually breaks down the idea of cooking channels and sort of the rise and fall of good ones and bad ones and alike? Folding Ideas. Dan, can't remember his last name. It's a video channel called Folding Ideas where he did an entire video essay about how cooking channels have sort of good things and bad things about them, and how it's like, okay, we're presenting a polished product and this and that, and kitchens are inherently terrible places to film anyway. It's a whole thing that he actually goes into why Tasty and sort of also the pseudo racism that also exists in ethnic cooking and things like that. And I'm just like, yeah, that can definitely be a problem.
Okay.
And he does touch a little bit into the fall of Bon Appetit and whatnot in that whole group, and I'm like, yikes! It's an interesting thing. Okay. Highly recommend that video as well. Okay. Great essay on the topic.
Okay, that's cool. I know. I don't know. Just like I said, those tasty videos do have a place in the internet, like in the culinary world, because it's like some people don't want to try it, they just want to see the end product, and it's like, okay, well, instead of watching a 20-minute binging with Babish video, if you don't want to see the whole process, you'd be screwing yourself over if you don't watch that immediately. But
he's great.
Oh yeah, he's great. But if you don't have 20 minutes and you only have 2 to 5 minutes, okay, there you go, tasty it is.
And that's why they sort of grew to fame, is the fact that they were producing 3 5-minute Facebook videos, essentially where they started, was Facebook videos where they can just be like, topping, here you go, blah, 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 whatever. Super polished beauty pageant version of the cooking process. It's like, yes, this is pretty and this looks tasty, but at the same time, it's like, is this actually good to eat? And they do offer, I have the app and I have cooked multiple things from Tasty's cooking catalog. I've done a ton of their pastas. I've done their their sliders 4 different ways. I've done empanadas, their empanadas. I've done a lot of cooking for their recipes, even a lot of their pastas. Oh god, just so many pastas that I've done by them. And even just going back to the same pasta over and over and over again. I think that my number of recipes that I've made from Tasty is almost as much as I've made from Babish.
I mean, there is literally nothing wrong with that, because that shows me that these people are actually producing a good service. They're actually showing you
a recipe that
that's
they can
it.
reproduce.
Yeah.
A reproducible product.
Yeah, they are giving you results. You can actually take results out of this, instead of just ooh, look at this. I'm not going to show you exactly how to make it, but ooh, look pretty,
Yeah.
That their actual videos show. So, okay, I can give them that, fine. I don't. They don't have to take my judgment into account. This is just what I think.
They have a video that is eye-catching and appealing to basic internet scrolling senses. But if you are the kind of person that says, no, actually, that does look good, how do I do that? Oh, click the link under the video. It takes you directly to the recipe, shows you exactly what every recipe does, and it's like, okay, here's how you would make it. Start with this, mix this, go do here, and you're able to follow the steps as a recipe is supposed to lay out.
Yeah.
The main problem that exists in the world, though, are the tasty imitators who don't follow through, and their sole purpose is the homogenized beautification process of just showing you only the parts that it's like, we're just going to show you how these things all come together to make this end result. And then you're like, there was some video years ago that I came across that was some Philly slider thingy making Philly cheesesteak sliders or something. And they didn't give a single measurement. They just said, here's an item, here's the next item, here's the next item. They just said onion, beef, this. Not a large white sweet onion or a a quarter of a red onion or anything like that. I mean, obviously a red onion and a white sweet onion are completely different things, and you might be able to tell that, but the difference between a large yellow onion and a large white sweet onion are two completely different things. That may not be immediately apparent in the 5 seconds it takes for this item to suddenly hit the pan and then add the cilantro, add this. And it's like, can you give me a measurement? Are we dealing with tablespoons, teaspoons? Are we doing a whole handful? A pinch? Literally fucking anything. And I got so angry with it because I'm like, this is bullshit. I hate this.
Yeah, those are the videos that try to do the tasty thing of appealing to the instant gratification, but without providing any actual substance.
Yeah.
So, like you said, you can go down below and click a tasty link, and you can actually see an in-depth recipe. But with that type of video, no, they just want some clicks. That's all they want.
Or I can go to the Tasty app, and I can actually search for panini or any sort of rigatoni or not rigatoni. I don't know, any sort of like pasta or keto dish or cauliflower, whatever, or something, and I can look for something that's like, oh, here's 13 of our recipes or different videos that involve whatever. Yeah. And it's like, okay, here's how they did it. Here's I can read the instructions below. Great. I have all the tools I need in order to do this myself. And the top-down sort of cooking videos really did took it away from where we were with Food Network and their sort of presenter superstars that they crafted, your Bobby Flays, your 60-minute meals with Rachel Ray, or your Barefoot Contessas, or the home garden cook whatever lady, or these people that are like, oh, I'm going to teach you how to cook, but it's from the outside perspective watching them cook, while a top-down medium that Tasty presented was great in a way of presenting it almost in a first-person view, so that you could see, okay, this is what it looks like when you're, and I've kind of like, I'm looking down at my microphone now. This is what it looks like for if it was right in front of you, and your hands are here, and your hands are the ones that are stirring these things up. So it was a great way to sort of, secondary effect of it was bringing people to not only watch people make these great foods, but putting in a perspective that allows you to see yourself making foods. And you can go, it's like, this is what it looks like when you will do. So you can kind of bridge the barrier, the mental gap of, well, there's no way I can make this. Yeah, it is. Yeah, you could. See? This is what it would look like if you were doing it. Oh, maybe I could do that. All right, I'm going to do this. Yeah. And I just for my own personal experience, I did during the sort of rise of Tasty, that did help me elevate myself from making a lot of basic dishes. Who cares? Whatever. I'm going to grill a thing of chicken, or I'm just going to do whatever, or I'm going to heat up a quesadilla or whatever. It might also have been part of me maturing as an adult into actually making my own meals and making more of a presentation of it, rather than just, opening up a box of instant mashed potatoes, opening a thing of whatever. And, it's like, okay, yeah, you either can take the 5 minutes that it takes to make a pack of mashed potatoes, or you can take the time to, go out, grab 5 or 6 giant russet potatoes, put them through a potato ricer, which, by the way, a potato ricer is definitely the next thing I buy. Okay. You can take those 2 steps or whatever. It's like Tasty definitely did bring me up to another level where I can start making more complicated recipes, and brought me up to a point where I can start appreciating the steps that brought into it, while then opening my eyes to other people like Babish, or while they were still active, the Bon Appetit crew and things like that, appreciating and noticing the art and love that is the process of cooking, not just eating.
Yeah, I really love how, like, basically throughout all of human history, cooking, one of the main things that has brought everyone together. It's like the dinner table is like neutral ground. It's like, let's sit down, have a good meal, and we're all going to have full stomachs, and we're all going to feel a hell of a lot better, afterwards than before we started. Oh yeah,
for sure. The unification of family and groups and tribes together over a pit of fire and cooking of meat has been universal since the day we've come out of since we first invented fire. It's something that's always been there that has brought us all together. Once we started cooking food, Bob's your uncle, we're all hanging out and we're all
totally
coming together in this moment.
I think that's why restaurants and bars are they're like really nice places to be around, as long as you're like everybody can just kind of sit around the booth or sit on the bar or sit at the bar and just kind of like, if you sit on the bar, you've had too much to drink, but everybody can just kind of sit around the bar and just be like, okay, that's just talk and just have fun, have a good time. It's such a social thing, and it's amazing. I think the only thing would come close to bringing people together, like cooking, would just be music. I think those two things are... Cooking, I think, is number one, but music is, I think, a close second.
It was funny. There was brief tangent.
What's up?
This last weekend, I've been getting my parents to, now that they finished watching What We Do in the Shadows, we've started watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine together. And it got to a part where there's a point in, I think, late season 1 where Amy Santiago and Jake Peralta are having to work on a case together, and they've got to go knock doors at this hotel. And they knock this door, and the door is answered by I can't remember his name. He's from Portlandia and SNL. I can't remember his name, but this another SNL alumni opens the door, and he's kind of got this like European-esque accent. He's like, no, I don't know. No, I think very good day. Thank you. And like tries to close the door very quietly. And then Jake's like, wait, what are you listening to? And it's like, and then like smash cut to them like, hey, ah, to like this song. And it's just like some kind of like Turkish Romani kind of vaguely sounding something with a tambourine in the background. He's like, oh, this is so much fun. And it's like, yes, this song is about to, we played this song to celebrate the dog losing its virginity. And it's like, who checks this? It's just like, it's so dumb. And I'm just like, yeah, music, something we all can get behind.
Oh yeah, it's music and food. And booze, but nobody remembers the night after, the morning after.
Alcohol is just stealing happiness from tomorrow.
Cheers.
Insert scene of Eric Andre taking a swig of Hidden Valley Ranch.
Whatever that is that what that is? I've never seen that. Yeah. I've never seen that scene, so it's like, I don't know.
I'll drink to that, bro, and it's like him drinking ranch.
Oh, yeah,
that's Eric Andre's bit on the street.
Okay. The only thing I remember is the Let Me In and the pizza ball.
Who's ready for pizza ball? Such good times.
Okay, apparently my friends... Sean, doing a podcast. He just turned it off.
Nice.
Shut it off. I don't know why he had that set. I think he had that set for like to remind him to get up for a gaming session.
Yeah. One last thing about food. So I know that I was kind of ragging on Food Network for cultivating the cooking personality world, but at the same time, I've also started getting into Josh Weissman, the guy that did the sourdough with Babish. I've started watching his videos as well.
Okay, who's that guy?
You remember? Did you see the sourdough episode? The guy with the big, crazy, long hair.
I think so. I'm not sure. I've seen so many videos that kind of blend at some points.
So,
maybe not.
And that's the other thing. Did I tell you I made sourdough?
You did? Really?
I did make sourdough.
How'd that turn out?
Not as it probably as good as a first attempt at sourdough could probably go.
Okay.
So I don't know if I posted the pictures or not online. But all right, this is worth actually sharing real quick.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely put that image right. Insert image here.
Yeah, and I also want to like send it to you.
Yeah,
as well,
please. I want a reaction shot for 5 seconds.
Right.
Wow.
Okay. Whoa. Yeah, I haven't done it quite yet.
I'm vibrating.
Yeah. Okay. So. Okay. Yeah. So I'm sending you the picture to the chat right now of who Josh Weissman is. If you look in the maybe pile general chat, I sent you that picture of what he looks like, and then I'll get to.
Okay.
You remember him? He did the sourdough episode, right?
I think so. I remember.
Yeah.
I'll probably have to rewatch the episode to remind myself.
Oh, I've watched it probably a good 40 times just to be like, yes, okay, I'm following, I'm here, I'm with you. I saw I think one of my favorite ones
Babish's sweet roll from the Elder Scrolls.
That was a good. I didn't feel the pull to go off and make those as I did like his other videos, because some of his videos have very, very alluring pull to just do the thing and get it out there. So anyway, back to sourdough. So I shared the first. I just sent you a picture because I bought. So those of you who actually have seen the Binging with Babish the sourdough episode, there's a lot of equipment that they talk about in that one. They talk about how instead of using a regular Dutch oven, you're going to want to get a Lodge. They joke about the fact that it's almost a paid sponsor spot for being like, yes, the Lodge combo 3-quart combo cooker. And it's one of those things that's like, yes. And then I'm like, no, actually, this thing actually is really good. So it's like, okay, great. An excuse for me to go off and buy more cast iron things. Thank you. But anyway, so I bought the 3-in-1 combo, the 2-part 3-quart combo cooker from Lodge. I actually went off and I bought a bench scraper, that wide flat thing that they use to like scrape up, whatever they're kneading or baking on his bench.
Right.
I went out and bought a nice apron so that way my clothes don't get all floury. Things like that.
As somebody who has made lots of dough in their life, I can safely say flour, it sucks. It sucks so bad. And getting sticky dough off of your hands, ugh, bitch.
Right.
Whip out the Dawn, man.
Oh, God, without the Dawn, yeah.
No, I said whip out the Dawn, man. Get that shit off your hands.
Right, yeah. So then they take the they cut the giant loaf they're working with into two and put it into 2 wicker, what they call bannets, I want to say, bannets. And it's these little proofing trays that you got put in the fridge and let them hang out overnight until finally they're ready to put in, or they're taken out of it, put in the cast iron, and then cook the next day. I took it, I did the full steps, and for those of you who know about the Binging with Babish or Josh Weissman's sourdough thing, it's like, okay, you got to do this whole thing where you're prepping the sourdough, where you're starting a sourdough starter, and then you're mixing that into the leaven, and then that's a whole process, and then you got to mix it in and fold and do all this other stuff. Creating the sourdough starter is a 1-week process.
Woo.
Where you're just working on this thing every day for a little bit for a week straight, and then the day that you actually start making the sourdough is a 12-hour commitment.
Jeez.
It's like, okay, you got this 12-hour commitment of folding and turning and resting and kneading and doing all this crap to it, just touching it almost every 3 hours. You got to do another thing to it. And on Josh's website, he actually talks about how it's like, okay, you might want to start this at 8 a.m. I was a fool and decided to start it at noon, because that's just when I started, I got up that day. I'm like, yeah, it'll be fine. I didn't get done until like 3 a.m. And I'm like, geez, get it over with already. And then so like I let them set overnight. I woke up the next morning, brought them over to my parents' house, and I decided to bake at their place. So I brought everything over. I got I brought over my nice rice flour, everything perfect. And then that day I put them in and I tried baking them, but unfortunately they kind of came out a little flat. They were a beautiful color, and I think they tasted, it was just one of these things that I'm like, they're just not as aesthetically appealing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, cooking is not all about aesthetics.
Yeah, but
you definitely want it to look good, though. It's a pride thing.
You do these things, you make the steps, you do the process, and you think everything's going to be perfectly fine, but it doesn't turn out as pretty as you know what I mean?
No, I totally understand that. As somebody who has tried to cook themselves, I understand. Although my cooking experience is about as limited as it can be, basically just knowing how to make a fucking pizza. I can make a pizza, and I can grill hot dogs and burgers.
Yeah.
Although if anybody I know uses pre-made hamburger, like pre-smashed hamburger patties, you are my friend. Make your own patties.
Tell me about it. I mean, unless you're at like a party that you've got a lot of people that that are coming over for, you don't. Yeah, like you've got like maybe 20 or 30 people that are going to be coming over to have like burger and whatnot. It's like, you got to go with like the pre-made patties. If it's just like you and 2 or 3 of your other friends, make it yourself, bitch.
Yeah. Also, I just wanted to point out, we've been recording for an hour and 15 minutes now, and I have spent this entire time playing with a strand of thread that is just hanging from my shirt.
Hell yeah, dude.
This entire
Get
fucking time I've just been playing. I'm like a fucking cat. I've just been playing with it this whole time. I've just been discussing this and just playing with it. It's like, okay. So yeah, NaNoWriMo. Yeah.
I'm glad that you've been playing with something silent and not clicky or tappy or...
Yeah.
Future editor will appreciate that.
It's something I was actually thinking about that to myself. I was like, this is a far better alternative than a pen or tapping away on my extremely clicky keyboard, which for some reason everybody compares to like a 1980 something like fucking IBM has.
Hey, that's not a bad compliment.
I think it has like
IBM.
What about the IBM? No. What about the IBM stuff?
There's actually an IBM keyboard that's insanely expensive because it's that good feel.
This keyboard is really good. It's a Corsair something, so it's a pretty good brand. I don't know how much I paid.
Do you know what type of mechanical switches it has?
Which one's more clicky, the Cherry MX Blues or Reds?
I think Reds are more clicky. I think Blues are... I don't know, dude.
I don't know. I built this... I got this keyboard because this is a writing keyboard. It's not a gaming keyboard. Mm-hmm. Well, this PC is a hybrid, so it's like it's a gaming / work computer. So I think this has... I'm pretty sure this has Cherry MX Reds. I'm pretty sure it has the red switches.
I don't know. My heart says my heart wants to say blue, but
whatever.
Whatever.
Could be pinks.
Me, I am rocking a Razer something stealth. Let me flip it over and take a look at it. Oh, a Black Widow Ultimate Stealth 2014.
Corsair. It's a good keyboard. It's all right. Very.
Corsair's a fine company.
Extremely clicky. Like if I type something in, everybody's like, "What the hell are you using?" And it's, I didn't. I just figured I should say that. Yeah, I was actually playing with something silent for once, not obnoxiously loud and clicky and tappy and bullshit. I need to get myself like a ball of yarn.
Just like sit there and kind of squeeze it over and over again.
No, I guarantee you that if you give me a ball of yarn and we talk for like an hour and a half, which is the general amount of time this takes, our listeners, for our listeners who are interested, I guarantee you I would have like that ball of yarn like. Depending on the size, it would be like unwoven, then rewoven, unwoven, and then rewoven at least one more time.
Nice.
Because I just, whatever. I'd probably like run my fingers like between the strands as it's rolled up and just like squeeze it a little bit. I always like to have something in my hands. I'm always playing with something. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why. I just like fidget spinners. Awesome. So NaNoWriMo, writing, cooking, playing with random objects.
It's good. I think that's a solid place to end it. I think that we've covered a lot of good things this week.
Yes.
We'll check here
Yeesh.
for the hashtag real quick.
Yes. Let us ask the pile thingy.
Nothing.
Okay.
Cool.
Eventually we will have something.
I'll leave that up on my tweet deck at the very end, just in case I want to see it like right as anybody asks. Hashtag the maybe pile. Hashtag ask the maybe. Anyway, everybody, that has been the Maybe Pile. That's been our show. If you have any questions for myself, you can always reach me online at Mummified Tony. If you have any questions for my wonderful and amazing co-podcaster, Kay, you can always at him at Kiryoku Writes, WRITES. I don't know why I spelled it out. That was incredibly weird.
It's okay.
It did not feel right.
It's okay. Nobody spells it right the first time.
So it's also going to be on the screen, so that is double. Why the heck did I do that? You can always reach the show at Maybe Pile Pod. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to let us know at hashtag Ask the Maybe Pile, and we'll be more than happy to answer them here on the show. But in the meantime, Kay, anything new or exciting that you want to plug for the listeners out there?
R.I.P. Alex Trebek.
Oh, God, don't. Yep. It's been a rough week. It's been a rough last week. Anyway, but on that downer, though, we'll still be here for the next episode, so please come on back and give it a listen. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell if you really feel so inclined as well. And remember, if we really need to come up with a catchphrase or something to explain why it's called the Maybe Pile.
Well, I
We
mean,
should
the
be
story's pretty. The story's almost like self-explanatory. Almost, it's just like
It's like, yeah.
we couldn't figure it out, so we had this little imaginary list called the maybe pile. We threw all these names in, and it was like, okay, we'll just call it that. Fuck it. We literally couldn't think of anything else. So
Well, we'll add this one again to the maybe pile, or that's another episode for the maybe pile. Yeah, that felt good. Yeah, that's another episode that we're putting in the maybe pile. Feel free to join us next time when we talk about other random things here and there. But in the meantime, hope you all have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. I've never tasted an avocado.